This is March 25th, and there are several new plants out in the garden that are just coming up, and we're going to go walk around and look at all those today. Right here is some tulips, and there's a red tulip that's just starting, and there's daffodils over here that are blooming. Most all the daffodils are blooming now. Here's one of those tulips that's just coming up. Here's another one that's another early tulip. They're blooming before the daffodils are done. There's a nice red one. Them red ones really stick out. And there's some of those hyacinths. They've been blooming for about a week now, I think. And there's some blue Siberian squills there. There's a tulip that's, you can see down in there the bloom is coming up. And this is a Cranesbill geranium that grows in there. It's just coming up out of the ground. And there's some catmint that's coming up too. And there's some more catmint. And there's some more Siberian squill. I like those little blue flowers. They bloom all over the place. And here's some more tulips that are just getting ready to bloom. I like going out in the first of the year like this and taking a walk and seeing what's blooming, what's growing. I don't know what this red flower is that's shooting up. I guess I'll just have to watch it and see what it turns out to be. There's a crocus that's still blooming. There's some more Siberian squills. I like those because they just seed themselves all over the place. And there's some more daffodils. Those Siberian squills will be gone in here pretty soon. They just grow in the first part of the year. There's another one of those red tulips that are just opening up. Those pink and white tulips are pretty. There's a couple of them. There's a nice bright red one. And some other ones are just coming up. There's a hyacinth that's still blooming. There's a hollyhock that I just planted out here early this spring. Look how good it's growing. And there's more tulips. Those are phlox that are just coming up. They'll be nice tall purple flowers this year. And this is penstemon that was grown here last year. There's a pretty color of hyacinths. It's 57 degrees out and rainy and kind of windy, and March 25th. That right there is that red hot poker that's growing here, and there's a lot of the green stayed all winter long, and there's some new coming up right there. And there's some honeysuckle right there. I got a honeysuckle vine in here growing on the swing, and some trumpet vine, but it's not growing yet this spring. And here's some tulips that I just transplanted over there. Here's a lot of daffodils in this flower bed. And that's sedum I planted a few years back, an assortment. That is some Glory of the Snow that's done blooming. The light colored ones are Glory of the Snow, and that's winter alkanite right there. And the darker ones are Siberian Squill, the darker blue. And there's a lot of those Glory of the Snows in there, but they're done blooming now. And that is Missouri Primrose. It's a different variety, and I don't think it's ever bloomed yet in about 3 or 4 years it's been there. And this is Cranesbill Geranium. It's a hardy geranium that comes back every year. There's some Glory of the Snow in there, the lightish white small flowers. And that's Siberian Squill. Lots of daffodils in this flower bed too. There's a crocus still blooming. There's a poppy I moved over here. I'm not sure if this is a Cranesbill geranium or it could be one of those bird. This is a Bluebells right here, Virginia Bluebells. There's more crocuses. There's more Virginia Bluebells. They're real pretty when they get to blooming. More crocuses. Winter alkanite. And that looks like a red tulip down in there just starting to bloom. This is Grecian windflower that I just moved out of the lawn up here in, I think the last video or before that. And here is some Brunera macrophilia just coming up out of the ground, so the leaves are not very small. And this is some coral bells. There's some new leaves here and some that were there all winter. More daffodils. I get lots of daffodils. And this is bird in a bush, or Bird in the bush. Coryidea solidata. I just say bird in the bush. That's much easier. And more bluebells. Here, I think this is more of that bird in the bush that I planted here last year, and it's just not going to bloom this year because I planted a whole bunch of wildflowers right in this area right here. I think Virginia bluebells, though, is my favorite wildflower. They just bloom early in the spring and then they're done by June or so, I think, or before. Some nice red tulips there. And that is Vinca minor, and it's blooming right now. Got the little blue flowers, kind of like violets or something. This is snow on the mountain. It's a aggressive weed you don't want in your flower bed for sure. I have some aggressive ground covers down here on this end. There's some tulips, or I mean hardy lilies I planted in here last year. I was moving things around and I dug those up because they were in the way. So I planted them back in here. There's lamium. There's the old growth on the bottom and just new growth from this year right there on top of the smaller, brighter green leaves. And this is a Lenten rose that has been just growing more and more each year. It's been here for a few years. And it's been blooming now for a couple of weeks, I think. And it's a checkered fritillaria. I used to have a lot more tulips back here in this little section, but I think they've just slowly went away over the years. I need to plant some more back here. This is dogtooth violet. It's got one little leaf. This particular one is a little white flower, and it's another spring flower that's gone by the summer. And these here are originally from my dad's garden, and so they're just all over the place over in here because they've been here for so long. And I've gardened on top of them and everything, and they just keep coming back in the spring. I think this here is some columbine that I planted in here. There's some Siberian squill, and this is lupine. And I started the lupine and the columbine from seed last year, or the year before, I guess, I don't know. And I put this potting soil on top of these wood chips here in the raised beds. So I filled them mostly up with wood chips and then covered them with potting soil. And there was grass here. So I put down the lawn and leaf bags, and you can see them sticking out the edges there a little bit, and then covered that up with wood chips to kill off the grass. And then I started this part of the garden here. I covered it with wood chips, potting soil, and the one thing that's come up so far is the radishes, and I think I planted this stuff a couple weeks ago, and there's spinach and beets and carrots and that stuff that you can put out early in the year. I think I put it in like the second week of March. There's a Siberian squill that volunteered into the garden. There's more of them right there. They're all over the place back here in the grass. And then over here is my compost rotator. I'm not really that worried about making compost. I just put grass clippings and wood chips in these barrels. And if I'm working in the garden pulling weeds, I'll bring back all the weeds and put them in those barrels, and then dump them together and put them in there and rotate them, mix them up good. This is a hollyhock I moved back here last year in the fall, or the hot part of the summer, and it's doing really fine. You can see the growth around there. That was the leaves I moved, and those leaves there on the top Well, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.